to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
And I'm freshly laid. Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Richard.
And he's about to be a grandfather. Welcome back to Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. I'm Noah.
And I'm Richard.
And we're done this time, for real. And with the recent announcement, well, not announcement, we all knew this was coming, but the recent trailers for Deadpool 3.
Oh, yes.
Deadpool and Wolverine.
The resurrection of Wolverine.
Oh, it's going to be an alternate universe. But we wanted to go back. Since Hugh Jackman is putting the claws back on, we wanted to go back and look at his final run as Logan before his real final run as Logan. Logan!
Before
a 2017 movie.
Before they offer him enough money to come back as Logan in a...
Right.
How much money does it take to get an actor to come back to a role they don't want to do?
Well, apparently he really wanted to do it with... to do the Wolverine Deadpool with Ryan Reynolds.
Oh, sure. They're good friends.
Yes.
And they troll each other online all the time.
All the time.
And
it's a classic pair in the comics is Logan and Deadpool, is Wolverine and Deadpool.
Okay.
And Deadpool just annoys Wolverine, and
sure,
you know, they're very similar with their healing factors and.
Well, and they had that relationship started in the Wolverine origin movie,
and Ryan Reynolds hated it.
Sure, it wasn't handling the
wasn't Deadpool,
right? But it was close enough that you could see the relationship forming.
You could tell that it was supposed to be Wolverine and Deadpool.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. And so I'm
just not done very well.
Well, I'm glad that Deadpool, you know, that they were finally able to put it together the way it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
Because the Deadpool movies are
they need
hysterical.
They need to be rated R. They need to be a little gory. They need to just be able to make
a little mouthy.
Yeah, sassy, raunchy.
Yep.
Because it's Deadpool. That's his whole shtick.
So, 2017 James Mangold movie.
Yep.
Right. Hugh Jackman, Patrick Stewart, and a whole bunch of people I really don't know. No.
Daphne Keane as X-23. His daughter.
Oh, is that her name? X-23?
Well, that's her project title.
Gotcha. Right. The surprise standout of that movie was that young girl.
Oh, yeah.
She was fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic performance on her part.
And so I remember watching this and thinking to myself, wow, this is really good. This is maybe what these movies should be. Mm-hmm. More character, less action.
Yep.
And I enjoyed that about this movie. But this movie was gritty.
Yes,
this movie was angry.
Very.
And I was doing just a little bit of research this morning, sitting in the waiting room at KU, and I was curious as to how old Logan was when he died. Spoiler, he dies. 200 years old. And that explains why he's angry, why he's hurt, why he doesn't want to invest any energy into getting to know anybody else because everybody he loves dies.
Yep.
According to, his own words.
Yeah.
I would imagine if you lived 200 years, you would see 6 or 7 generations of your family and you would outlive all of them. It might be hard to be chipper and upbeat.
Mm-hmm. just a wee bit.
Yeah, so what? 1832 he was born.
Yep.
There's actually a date in on the Logan Wikidom. I think it's October 12th.
Yeah.
1832.
Yep.
And so this gritty, angry, hurt Logan discovers that X-23 is his clone. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Clone.
A genetic copy, but it's his kid, without being his kid. Right?
It's the closest to having a biological kid in that sense that he's going to get at this point.
Right, and then he suddenly realizes, I have to do something for her.
Yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
It's cool. The moment when he pulls his claws out in the car and shows her that they are alike, and it changes the way she looks at him.
Yep.
And reveals that he sees he's got to help this person. But I think probably ultimately the best part of this movie, truly, the one that I liked the most, was when he said, "So this is what it feels like."
Yep.
When he finally dies.
Yep.
He finally understands what he's watched so many other people go through. Character development, more of that, less action. That made this movie so much fun.
Not that this movie had bad action or little action. It had some fantastic sequences.
Yes,
some
it
of
did.
the best in any superhero movie,
Yes.
in my opinion. Seeing Wolverine finally able to go rage mode on screen at the very end, where he's just running through the woods and he's just clipping people and throwing them and just going all out, is fantastic. And it's something that Wolverine fans have wanted to see. And you add to the fact that he had something to fight for, something to fight this hard for, something to do, make that sacrifice play for. It makes the action so much better. This is what I love about smart directors, smart writers, and smart coordinators, stunt coordinators, is that the action will tell the story just as much as the dialogue will, if you let it.
So one of the things that I liked is the X-23 development. If you have a group of kids who are basically human experiments, and they're growing up, they are going to be feral.
Yeah.
In many ways. The fact that they are not is or as feral as they could be is a bit of a surprise. But these kids are truly only loyal to one another. They're a group. They're bad. They have something in common, and they stick together and they take care of each other.
Yeah.
But the way that X-23 fights, the absolute wild abandon, no second thoughts, no anything, is the Wolverine we've always wanted to see.
Yeah.
She doesn't have a conscience.
No, she doesn't.
At all. That's what she is lacking. She is lacking empathy. She is lacking a conscience. But she's also only known harshness and violence.
So you know why.
Yes.
You can tell why. And again, it does. It's, again, what I just said. The action is telling the story without needing to explain it.
Yes.
You get that sense by watching her take down a bunch of soldiers that she's never known how to feel empathy or remorse or feel bad for these people. There's no hesitation of, does this dude have a family? Does he have a wife and kids?
Yes.
You know, there's nothing. No even pause, no hesitation when just murking all these dudes.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. So if you haven't seen it, and I was just sitting here thinking as I was listening to you, if you haven't seen it, we are talking about Logan and Charles Xavier, and we haven't even talked about that relationship, but they're they're not on the run, but they're living in hiding. They're living in isolation. They're both near the end of their lives. They have tremendous struggles. They're poor. They're living, not knowing where their next meal is coming from.
Pretty sure mutants have been outlawed in this future.
Yes.
Which is, the freaking Fox. The Fox X-Men continuity is so hard to track. Because the last movie that happened before this was Days of Future Past.
Okay.
And I don't remember if this is supposed to be the direct sequel to Days of Future Past, which ended all happy.
Right.
With hope.
Right.
Or if this was supposed to be an offshoot, like a slightly different branching timeline from that. It works as its own standalone, like if you consider it like a parallel timeline where it's like I don't have to I like to think of it as Days of Future Past happened, they did get their happy ever after, and then this is just a bad timeline of that.
Right.
It's its own thing, it's standalone, while still retaining some of the history there.
Yeah, and
I find it easier to think of it that way.
Wrapping my head around the standalone movies is a little bit difficult.
Yeah.
I'm looking to be satisfied by continuity, and we're not getting that, but it makes it
it's fine.
You can make the standalone movies, you can tell the parallel universes, because that's becoming a big thing in all of this.
Yeah.
But the audience member still craves continuity and conformity.
If you're gonna make a series, we want to see continuity because otherwise, why am I watching? Why am I watching so many movies?
And don't expect me to keep track of all these things. Your brother's forever pounding the 3 different Zelda timelines into my head, and like I get a timeline where you follow the youth story growing up. I get the timeline where you're following the adult, but
I've never understood the dead hero timeline because it's like what he died. There's the possibility he dies in every game. Then why is Ocarina special in that regard?
And that's the one that I always have a hard time wrapping my head around.
It's fine.
So the more people who are telling a story delve into this, the harder it becomes. So as a standalone, Logan was fantastic.
Yes.
And we see here's a concept. A mind as powerful as Charles Xavier with dementia.
Yeah.
Right? Who's capable of shaking the world with the power of his mind, and it's only being kept in check because he's being drugged out of into oblivion.
This falls into the line of Marvel did this for a while. They did a lot of very bleak, nihilistic takes on the characters, just to switch it up. Some of the writers did. It's becoming a cliche nowadays, and I think I said this. I don't remember what we were talking about. I said this recently on video, but it might have been Vox Machina. You've got The Boys, you've got Invincible, you've got all these shows that are parodying the superhero tropes.
Yes.
And they're like, oh, this is a more realistic, or this is a very nihilistic, or this is what would actually happen if superheroes existed. And it's like, okay, yeah, it's getting oversaturated. But Logan is based off of the comic book storyline Old Man Logan.
Okay.
And Old Man Logan is a alternate history, and Old Man Logan is a messed up comic book. If you have not read it or watched a recap of it, it's messed up. It's dark, it's twisted, and it's very different from what the movie is. There's still some plot beats here and there. Mm-hmm. Essentially, the plot of it is Logan is retired. He doesn't use his claws anymore. He refuses to. There's a bunch of hillbilly hulks, inbred hillbilly hulks that rule at a post-apocalyptic wasteland who are like gang enforcers. Yeah, it's a really weird take. But the plot actually revolves around Logan and Hawkeye, who's blind and also old.
Wow.
And still shoots his bow and arrow, going to rescue Hawkeye's daughter.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. Eventually what happens is Logan comes back. He finds that his new family's been killed by these Hulk this Hulk family. So basically he goes on a revenge tear, and he has to come out of his retirement and reluctantly unsheath the claws again.
Can Wolverine
and try to move on,
take on a Hulk and win?
Oh yeah. One of the classic pairings in comics, and I think this is the other one that Hugh Jackman said he'd come out of retirement for, is to face off against Hulk. Wolverine is one of the only people that can go toe to toe with the Hulk at his full,
wow.
And it's because of his adamantium and his healing factor.
Right.
It literally, I think my favorite Wolverine quote is him saying, "Not very many people can tell you what it's like to get hit by the Hulk. It doesn't hurt at first. At first." And he just goes on an entire tangent, and the comic is showing him flying into a tree while he's fighting the Hulk.
Gotcha.
It's so good. No, that's a very common matchup. I think that's where Wolverine got his start, is fighting the Hulk. I think that was his first appearance.
Oh, wow.
If I remember correctly.
Okay.
Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I'll probably look it up after this, but I think either one of his
So Wolverine
first.
got the Loki treatment.
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, except that he can actually stab Hulk and hurt Hulk.
Right.
So,
Okay, you got to admit that
Yeah.
is one of the funniest sequences in
one of the
all
fun-
of the movies.
Oh, 100%.
And his reaction to watching Thor get the same treatment, which might be
boom.
one of the few bright beats of Ragnarok. Is that his reaction to that? But
anyway, to wrap it up, my long ADD tangent. This movie matches the energy that the other, that those books at the time. There was a book called Ruins, Marvel Ruins, and it was a really weird take. I could do a whole video on that. If you haven't heard about Marvel Ruins, good luck. Censor your views though going into that. Genuinely just the bleakest outlook on superheroes ever. But that era, Marvel Zombies was coming out, Old Man Logan, and this continues in that vein, but it did it for a movie audience. But it really shows what the genre can be if we allow it.
Okay.
And that's what I think is lacking. That's what I would get reminded of when I watch a movie like Logan, is that this shows what these superhero movies are capable of. Marvel has become so formulaic and so repetitive and so samey across all its properties. Like if you compare the original Avengers to the original Guardians of the Galaxy, completely different tones, completely different movies. Yeah, you get a lot of the quips in the Avengers, but they have stakes and they're taking it very seriously. The Guardians, it feels like a comedy ride the whole time. There's stakes, but the stakes don't really show up until the third act.
But it was designed to be that way, and it's something that you'd explained to me when we first, before I first watched it.
Yeah,
and that's one of the things that I liked about Guardians. Mm-hmm. In fact, this goes all the way back to our very first video.
Yeah,
this goes back to our very first video. Where
which was on Thor Ragnarok.
Which was, and how much I disliked it, and how much I liked Guardians better.
Yeah.
And you told me that was the opposite of.
At the time, I think it was the opposite. I think in recent years, since we've made that video, the script has flipped on Ragnarok, and people aren't, especially after Love and Thunder came out, people are kind of like, yeah, Ragnarok really wasn't that good.
Yeah. What I'd like to see is more people like the second Thor movie.
Good luck. Not a lot of people like that.
I enjoyed that one.
I enjoyed it, but
Of course, that was my first Thor movie, too.
That's fair. Yeah, so this movie reminds me what the superhero genre can be.
Okay.
And what I would like to see Marvel, DC, and all these other companies do more. Like, DC has the opportunity with James Gunn now to make its universe actually diverse in its storytelling and in the type of content. You don't need to have, all you need is one person at the head to kind of like oversee everything and make sure it clicks together, but you can have a gritty noir film in the same universe as an upbeat, positive Superman movie.
So,
like, you could do that. It just depends on the talent of the writing, the talent of the directing, and the talent of the person at the head of the whole project.
Right.
But yeah, that's what Logan does to me. Is it reminds me of what superhero movies can do and what you can do within this medium.
So there's a new category we should be looking at, because there's two films to put into this category, and it's the standalone relation. We've got Logan compared to the rest of that Marvel, and we've got Joker compared to all of the Batman ones.
I was going to say the Batman.
No, because for me the Batman just fits in. I mean, unless it becomes a standalone, but it's
been a standalone.
Well, but aren't they going? Are they ever going to revisit it with?
They might. I think they announced a sequel, but
so my point being that Joker is really out of your line of Batman movies, and from Keaton, to Kilmer, to Clooney, to Bale, to Pattinson. I mean, there's so many similarities in the way they go about doing all of those things, and then Joker is just off to the side.
I'm learning something. Here. Do you view the Batman movies like the James Bond franchise?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yes, most definitely I do. Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah,
that explains it.
I do.
I don't.
Oh, gotcha.
Each Batman Except for like Keaton to Kilmer-ish to Clooney. Those were kind of loosely connected. Those are like supposed to be the same Batman.
Right.
But they're also kind of not. I usually view each Batman as its own distinct. Because they like to reboot it. They like to refresh it. It's new. And especially Pattinson's Batman is so different from everything else.
No, I just look at that whole thing as a Bond-esque reboot of the same franchise. And,
got it. That explains so much. That explains this entire conversation. Cool.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I look at all the X-Men movies the same way.
Well, the X-Men movies are in the same timeline, with the exception of Logan, which might be outside that.
Right.
But the X-Men movies are supposed to be within the same timeline.
Okay.
And they're supposed to be one continuity, which is why they did Days of Future Past, and they brought Patrick Stewart and Ian McKellen and Halle Berry and Cyclops, who now I recognize James Marsden.
Oh, gotcha.
He's in the Sonic the Hedgehog movies now as the human character. It's funny.
Okay.
But those are all one continuity.
Gotcha.
And Logan is just an outsider in that continuity.
So I don't know. Logan will never be the, if you see it on TV on Saturday afternoon, drop what you do and watch it. But
for a superhero movie, it is.
I was just like flipping through the listings, and I saw it, and I was like, I haven't seen this since the first time I watched it. Let's rewatch it. And I liked it the first time. I liked it even better the second time.
Yep.
And this is going to be one of those go-to movies where it's like, I want to watch something, but I don't know what. Pop this one on.
If you want a movie with some good story, character, and meaning behind it, you can watch it and enjoy it. If you just want some action,
right,
you can watch it. It really serves both markets.
Yes.
Just a fantastically made movie.
So if they were to carry on with the same X-23 character, the actress is now in her 20s. She's
rumor she's gonna show up in Deadpool 3.
Is there really?
There's a rumor.
So
I'm not sure if that's confirmed or not. But we need to go watch Deadpool 3 when it comes out.
We do. We're going to.
2024 is looking like a lot of great movies.
We've got a couple that you said we need to go watch and record.
Here's a sneak peek. Wolverine and Deadpool.
Yeah,
Deadpool 3. Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Yes, you mentioned that
there.
One. Right.
And then I'll think of it.
Okay.
I'll think of it as I keep going. There's several more we need to watch this year that I'm. Godzilla, the next Godzilla.
Oh yes,
and Kong movie.
yes,
Have you seen
yes.
the trailer?
I've seen the
that?
trailers for it. I have.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Hey, thanks for tuning in to this episode of Pork Chops, Rice, and Peaches. Leave your thoughts below. Did you like Logan? Have you seen it? You know,
I can't imagine people not liking this. If you don't like Logan, please explain in the comments what is it you don't what you don't like about it. I'm genuinely curious if you don't like it. Why? I genuinely want to know.
Cool.
And we'll see you next time.